guys, how's it going? Masterbucks here, and welcome to, I would say another video, but I'll probably just say a video. It's been a week since my last one. I wouldn't, honestly, I'd forgive you for forgetting I even existed. This video probably pops up in your sub box and you go, oh shit, yeah, that guy. Basically, a lot of stuff has been happening for me outside of the YouTube space. Like, I've been moving house, have been for a while, and that's obviously a massive hassle. And I was recently away and I got a bit sick, and I don't think, hopefully I'm that kind of sick. Who knows? I was in Sydney and I had a reasonably good time. I may or may not have gone hard 1 or 2 nights. I haven't been tested for anything, but I have barely been outside the house anyway, and I've been in very little contact with people apart from like family, and even then I'm like, hey, just let's just, you know, keep your distance. For all accounts, I feel like I'm 90% confident I don't have you know what. I'm actually going to have to avoid saying it, otherwise YouTube's pretty much just going to tank this whole shit. Here's what I'm going to do for the rest of the video, and please pay attention, otherwise this video is going to be very confusing. So this Mexican beer virus has a new name, and it's COVID, which spelled backwards is pronounced Divock. Which is why anytime in this video I am going to refer to that certain, you know, Mexican beer, I'm only going to refer to it as Divock. This is stupid as fuck, I know, but hey, now at least you get to experience what it's like to be a YouTuber, having to fucking swerve through and jump over all these bullshit hurdles that YouTube throws at us. But yeah, I went away, I got a little bit sick, I feel like it's not Divock, so I should hopefully be okay. I'm not going to be able to do this with a straight face. But yeah, once I'm hopefully a bit more settled in my new house, I'll be able to pump out vids as per usual, and not being able to upload for like a week means I've just had fucking ideas churning in my head. I've got so much content I want to make. Just when I get properly set up, I'm going in. But anyway, let's get back on track. I wanted to make this video to give you just a little quick update as to what's happening with me, but also to talk about, you know, what I actually want to talk about today. And that is Divock Origi. Divock Origi has been raging havoc all across the sporting world, and it's not just affecting football. The entire NBA season was completely suspended because of Divock Origi. The Formula 1 Grand Prix in Melbourne was suspended or cancelled, whatever, and so many other events and so many other games being played behind closed doors. It's having a gigantic effect. And UEFA have even recently come out and said that they're more than likely probably going to have to postpone the Euros from 2020 to 2021. All because of Divock Origi. I wanted to sit down and really talk about what this is, how big an effect this is seriously having on our sport, and what the fuck is going to happen going in the future, just to try to make sense and predict what potentially might be the next moves, because there are so many things that we really need to talk about. Depending on how bad Divock actually gets around the world, you could maybe not just potentially see entire sporting seasons just postponed or suspended. They could just get completely straight up cancelled. And I'm honestly not gonna be too surprised if that is the case, because remember, we have been getting reports now of Divock Origi for like 4-5 months before this gigantic spread. Yes, it was all very contained within Wuhan and within China, and now once it's broken out into the rest of the world, you know that this is just going to be an issue that'll be facing the world for quite possibly years now. We're seeing sporting bodies postponing games and everything for periods of say 30 days like with the NBA, but what happens at the end of those 30 days? I can't help but imagine in the next couple of weeks that this, you know, is all going to potentially get cleared up, and you know, it's all going to be resolved and everyone's healthy and we've quashed the disease, and there's not going to be a cure for this shit for half a year at the very minimum, almost likely. Like, it's just gonna have such a crippling effect on all sport and all public gatherings of any kind, and it was looking, to be fair, like I was honestly at least sort of okay with the possibility of games being played behind closed doors without the fans. I mean, I know it fucking sucks, and it is weird. It is really weird seeing a, you know, big football game or just any big sporting fixture being played in an empty stadium. I mean, it's not anything that we haven't seen before. Like, only like a year or two ago, Barcelona played in an empty Camp Nou because of the protests and the potential revolution that was happening in Barcelona, with Catalonia trying to break away from Spain, and there was some shit that went down there. But I mean, now it looks like we were gearing up to see almost every major sporting event played with no fans in the stadium. But now you've got players, coaches, supporting staff of teams and all that jazz contracting Divock Origi. And if one player or one coach or anything gets sick, then that completely kills any possibility of any future games. Because you can't have players that are going in contact sports or even in non-contact sports that are basically going to be and this is going to sound a bit, a bit mad, but bear with me, rubbing up against, grinding on, and basically getting body on body with almost every other player, there's no way the virus doesn't spread within your own team and to other teams as well. I think that's why we see, all this talk about, oh, well, maybe we can play these games behind closed doors, yada, yada, yada. The second one person within the sport actually contracts DVOC, then it's done. It's finished. There is no possibility. And sadly, as we have seen in not just Formula One with the staffer in McLaren, unfortunately picking it up, that was the end of the Grand Prix right there. But also in the NBA with Rudy Gobert going and giving his own bloody teammate, well, I'm sure it was, he was just playing around. He's just going around patting his own fucking players' heads and shit like that. It's ridiculous. But he's gone and given some of his own teammates the bloody, that was close. He's given his own teammates DVOC Origi. You just have to cancel it at that point. There's no choice. And as we're seeing, not just in other sports, but now in football, with Mikel Arteta potentially contracting, or actually, no, I think he did get a positive test to, man, I'm getting too close. I'm going to let it slip. I'm going to let it slip at one point, Stevie G style. I've got to be careful. But yeah, Mikel Arteta has got DVOC Origi. Callum Hudson-Odoi has got DVOC Origi. And because, when people do contract DVOC, that it takes 5 days to almost over a week sometimes for certain individuals to actually start developing symptoms, then there's almost a very good chance that we're going to see more people from within the Arsenal Football Club and Chelsea Football Club potentially contract DVOC. Basically, what I'm getting at is this entire football season is more likely going to be completely binned and cancelled. I don't want to be have this negative outlook, but I'm kind of more or less being a bit of a realist about the scenario. There is almost no way that the footy stays on this season. I reckon genuinely, in about a week or two, potentially, if it even takes that long, we might get the announcement that all pretty much sporting events across the next couple of months are going to get straight up binned. And if an entire football season is going to get cancelled, let's take the Premier League, for example, it leaves so many big questions, and I really wanted to talk a little bit about it. Let's talk about, we'll start off maybe down at the bottom, okay? You've got teams that are currently in the relegation zone, and being in the Premier League is such, for some clubs, a vital lifeline. It is so important. Some clubs maybe can go down in the Championship. It always sucks getting relegated, of course. No one wants to be in the Championship over the Premier League, or at least I would imagine most people wouldn't. But regardless, there are so many benefits to being in the Premier League over being in the Championship. With the table as it is right now, if the entire season was to get cancelled, if no games were to be played for the rest of the season, then what happens? Do the teams that are in that relegation zone go down? Or is that unfair on the teams that are in there? Because there are still like 10-something games left to go that could be played that they maybe could do quite well in and save themselves relegation. I mean, even the team that's on the very bottom of the Premier League right now, Norwich City, they're like 6.7 points away from safety with like 9 games left to go. They've got more games than points that they need to catch to get out of the relegation zone. It is possible even for them, let alone the teams that are in bloody 19th and 18th. Between West Ham, Watford and Bournemouth, they're all on the same amount of points, and it's actually a ridiculously close, even with 8-9 games remaining. Still very, very close contest as to who's going to go down. I almost guarantee you that the 3 teams that are in the relegation zone right now, if the rest of the games were to be played, if if DVOC Origi were to just suddenly up and disappear and the rest of the games were to be played, I almost guarantee you that none of the 3 teams in the relegation zone right now would actually go down. I feel like there'd maybe be a chance that, say, a Watford or a Brighton could potentially fall down into those places. So yeah, there's massive ramifications as to what happens down the bottom of the table, but probably even bigger than that is at the very top. Liverpool potentially losing out on a Premier League title because of a worldwide epidemic. When it comes to the teams that are going to get relegated, there is so much still at work and so much that could still affect who goes down and who survives. So to relegate the teams that are already in those relegation spots now, I feel would be so unfair. It would be an absolute travesty. But on the flip side of things, if we look toward the top of the table, it's also the same. Liverpool are miles ahead of everybody else. There is not a chance in hell they would not go on and win this Premier League, and bloody hell, they would probably get it settled in the next week. It has to be said that if there are no more Premier League games to be played for the rest of the season, which, by the way, looks like it's probably going to happen now, especially with the news of Mikel Arteta and Callum Hudson-Odoi, does that mean that Liverpool should still be handed the same way the teams in the relegation zone should be relegated? Does that still mean that Liverpool should be handed the Premier League title? Should they be crowned as champions? Because even though I believe it would be so fucking bullshit if they didn't end up getting this Premier League title, I'm also a little bit torn. Because of the fact that they haven't sealed it completely. It is not mathematically over, despite the fact it is so absolutely ridiculously unlikely for a team like Liverpool that have lost only one game out of 29 for the entire Premier League season. It would still be possible if they lost almost every game or dropped enough points and say Man City were to go on an absolute ridiculous tear and win every game for the rest of the season. There's still the chance that Man City could have won. It is not finished mathematically. Liverpool have yet to win the title. It is not done yet. So if no more games are to be played and Liverpool did not mathematically win the title before the cancelling of the season, do they still deserve or should they still get the title? I already said that I think it'd be bullshit if the teams that were in the relegation zone went down because of this. And I think that that shouldn't be the case. And so if I'm going to have that sort of logic and that sort of thought process, then unfortunately I think I've just got to apply it, even though again it's fucking bullshit. I've probably got to apply it to this Liverpool scenario as well. I think if a Premier League game cannot be played for the rest of the season, Liverpool should not be awarded the title. And yes, I know I on Twitter more than do my bit when I get around the meme of stripping Liverpool from the title because of Divock Origi. I guarantee you at this point, you're all probably like, you've definitely slipped up on the whole Divock thing, I guarantee. But I kind of help but feel like ultimately there's no choice. I really don't know. Unless, I think this is probably the only way, maybe. I don't really know what the protocols are, if there even are any, because how have we ever faced anything like this before in our generation, in my lifetime? There's never been anything quite like this. Do you just forget the whole season and go, yep, nah, we're not awarding a champion, we're not relegating or promoting any teams, we're just going again? But I don't know. I don't genuinely have no idea. I think the only way that Liverpool really were to be, if they were to be handed the title, if the season were to get cancelled, I think that the only way that they would probably get it is if Pep Guardiola, Manchester City, because they're like the only ones that are even, they're the ones in second and they're the only ones even remotely close, they're like 20 something points back. I reckon if Man City rolled up to the Premier League's office, the FA or whatever, and just said, hey, look, this is ridiculous. There was not a chance that we'd ever catch them. If they showed what I think would be one of the greatest pieces of sportsmanship in the history of sports, and they just went, hey, look, just give Liverpool the title. I think that's probably the only way that maybe the Premier League would be like, all right, fine, we'll hand it to them, although we'll maybe put like an asterisk next to it, but they'll be recognized as champions. It's so insane, you know. I've obviously got my theories and ideas about what potentially might happen, but I also wanted to put it to you guys as well, which is why I put out this tweet. The possibility of the Premier League being suspended before Liverpool seal the title is looking more and more likely, almost an inevitability. If that happens, should they still be given the title? Yes, they should, without a doubt. The hardest decision is deciding relegation. So that's basically completely almost echoing everything I've been saying before. Chesanoid popping in saying, yes, it was only inevitable, but also we get a reply to that saying, then you have to relegate teams, can't give them the title, but void everything else, which again, is also interesting in itself. Are you able to crown a champion and also at the same time just completely just leave the team set in the Premier League as is? Can you do one thing up here in the table but forget about what happens down here? I don't know. Of course they should, though they will always have an asterisk next to it, which is kind of like, I honestly think Liverpool fans, even if this is how it ends up being sealed with the season finishing early, them being crowned as champions before they could mathematically seal it, but just having that little asterisk there, they won't care. They won't care. And every fucking football fan in the world is always going to... No, in 50 years from now, people aren't going to go back over the winners of the Premier League and see the little asterisk next to Liverpool. All they'll see is on Wikipedia a little section saying, season finished early because of a massive outbreak of Divock Origi. And they'll go, oh yeah, fuck it, but they'll probably also see the fact that they were 25 points in front and go, okay, yeah, well, they probably deserved it. I don't think they'll care. And hopefully any football fan you know, will be respectful of that and congratulate them likewise. Although knowing that they're probably going to sing about, oh, you're not real Premier League champions and it's going to be a big Russell fest. It'll be good. Anyway, it's fascinating stuff. That's my 2 cents on it. A little bit from what you guys have had to say. Please leave in the comments. Tell me what you guys think. What the fuck is going to happen in the next couple of weeks, months, or even further than that? I don't know. Tell me what you think about everything that's been happening with the seasons getting suspended, postponed, maybe straight up cancelled, and how this is affecting you as well. It's a crazy world that we're currently in as well, and it's like once in a generation, even more than that sort of thing. We're living in a crazy time in history. Obviously, stay safe, but also like soak it in, because this is some shit. I don't know if we're going to be experiencing anything like this again in our lifetimes, potentially. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. Again, the videos will be coming back with a bit more regularity in the near future. Stay tuned. Salford is also going to be coming back. We've got to wrap that shit up too. But until the next one, my name is Masterbucks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you later. Bye-bye.